Hello, everybody. I just wanted to touch base with you. This is Erin Cruz. Happy Sunday afternoon. So I received an email from Jenny Beth Martin, Tea Party Patriots, and as many of you I'm sure did as well. And I just wanted to address the no borders, no country. And I've thought about this a great deal, and I've thought about what borders have meant to me. I've not lived anywhere else but in the United States, and I've met a great measure of happiness here, and lived a good life. And I started thinking about what borders provide, and I think that many people don't recognize the value in having a border, and what the price was that was paid to have those borders. And when I think about that, I roll back many hundreds of years ago, and thousands of years ago actually, and the lives that were lost. Okay, you have to think bigger than just now. The lives that were lost, many generations of lives that were lost, and price paid to attain borders throughout the different nations and the conquering of lands. And those borders, the price that was paid for them, should be highly respected. And in the case of our great nation here, where we're very young, I think that with the migration or immigration that we have had, that the value has been lost. The sense of home and country has been lost for many. And I think that we really need to go back and we need to think about what the value of a border is. Value of the border is providing stability and security for the nation, for the people within it. And it's not just security from harm from other people outside of the border. It's providing security against health risks, disease. It provides a stable economy on both sides. It provides then well-being for the family unit. A strong border essentially protects life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, because without those borders, there is no security. Disease can come and go. Proper trade isn't necessarily respected. I mean, look at the borders. Okay, this is a perfect example. The value of the border, even between the states of the United States of America. Now, while we want to be able to, for example, in the AHCA or the healthcare reform bill, we want to be able to sell and buy insurance over borders of states, because that creates competition. And I think part of the idea of the state and the borders to provide regulation and decide within certain regions what best meets the needs of those particular people. And so when we look at the borders, even of the states, that provides security. Now we can go down to the county line, and we can go down to the city line, and we can see even furthermore that those particular borders provide stability for those smaller groups of people, which may be in, comprising of a more detailed type populace, where their needs might differ from a couple of counties or cities to the left or to the right, north, south, east, or west, yes? So when we look at borders, I think it's more appropriate to look at them as groups of people, and understanding that within those groups of people there are certain needs and wants and desires that should be met according to their laws and their demands. And so when we have our United States of America, we have our borders, we say we operate in a certain manner. We do things in a certain way, and I know this is a very simplistic way of looking at it, but we do. We operate in a certain way, and if you want to come within our borders, then you need to come in the right way. and you need to do things a certain way. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think back to something that happened, it's interesting, to something that happened in my house just the other day where I had invited someone over and they didn't remove their shoes. And I said, could you please remove your shoes when you come in my house? And they said, oh gosh, sure, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize. I said, oh, thank you very much. They came by another time. And rather than coming into my house and remembering that they were to take off their shoes, I had to remind them again. And it was the same thing. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. And I said, when I come to your house, I respect your rules and I respect the things that you want. And I would hope that when I invite you to mine, that you would remember and be willing to respect, the things that I would like in my home and how I would like them done. And so, of course, there was nothing hostile about it. It was more just, communicating what I wanted and how we operate in my home. And this is very similar in terms of our borders. Okay? And when I recently visited London and England, UK, whatever you want to call it, I found something very interesting. All right? And one of the things I found interesting was that we have a border fight over here. We have a border war. We have an issue where some people want to fund the wall and some people don't. Some people want, to protect the borders and tighter immigration. Others say we need to have open borders. What is all of this? Why don't we just let people in? Now, when I visited London, it was very interesting because there were many people, great people who I met. And there were, I believe, what I would call a silent majority. Very silent. Even more silent than our majority here is on certain issues. And so when I was speaking with these individuals and talking to them about Brexit, it was very clear to me that there is a very strong group of people there, who find that national security, sovereignty of their great nation, that their national interests are very important, and that they want to secure their personal wealth and their safety. And the only way to do this would be to exit from policy that would step on their rights and give certain things to people who are coming in to their nation and bleeding their system. And so when I look at our nation and I look at their nation and what kind of these two groups of people are saying in terms of wanting border security, well, they're not necessarily wanting border security, but they're wanting a land and a government that respects the citizens' right to their own personal wealth and to not give it to those who don't deserve it, who are just migrating in. And they're not wanting to live in this kind of open state where the people's money is the government's money. And I see that as admirable. I mean, in terms of standing up for what they want. And those in government there that stand up for what they want. Now, I don't like to get involved in foreign policy, and certainly when I go to another nation, I've only been to a handful of them, but when I go there, I was going there to just meet friends and to meet the people, because the people are so dear to my heart. And when I did this, I couldn't help but see a group of people who were just so far out from the England they once knew. And my heart breaks for them because they're a much older nation than we. They're much older, and it almost seems to seem helpless in their fight against a bigger, stronger regime that would be all too easy to let go of their borders and allow people to bleed their system dry. And I look at us as a nation, and the United States of America. And here we are. We're just a couple hundred years old. And we're 20 trillion in debt. This is absolutely no game. All right? And we have borders for a reason, and there is no reason for any power or any interest to be saying we need to have an open border policy unless their interests are against the United States of America. That their interests are to see us fall, to see us weakened. There are no other reasons. And at this time, we see more and more countries standing against powers that be that are saying they must let migrants into their nation. They must let the great migration flow into their borders. We're seeing them push back, and we're seeing them push back in the handfuls. And to those nations that I see saying, no, we aren't going to allow you to migrate to our country. We have limited ability to help refugees. We've done what we can. We've been involved in, say, the UN and other actions, but we as a nation are going to no longer accept refugees because they're posing a harm and an infrastructural risk to our society, because that's what it comes down to. When you lose the ability to defend your borders and to offer the people structure and stability, you lose everything. And I can tell you that the people who are standing up for defending their own borders and work hard and pay tax to their respective nation, and they want their tax money handled well and for their people, they need to be respected. They need to be heard. And it's just the same here in the United States of America. We need to continually and very, very unapologetically defend our northern and southern border. We need to continue to call for Congress to act on funding initiatives to strengthen our southern border walls and infrastructure. We see that, I think it was $1.6 billion was passed to further strengthen the San Diego region and some wall areas there, as well as Texas. We need to push for more. And also send a message to these other nations, southernmost nations and nations abroad, that we will not be invaded, that we silently invaded via refugees or asylum. We won't be. We will vet every entrant. We will make sure that the people who come here and who want to come here and need to come here are only the people that we know we can trust and will help build this great nation. No longer can we stand in the position of weakness and allowing these other countries to push. Mexico, in many ways it angers me that Mexico has not taken a hard stance against those who have come through its country to ours. It is, I think, neglecting to do the proper thing and letting their people there use the land to go through for human trafficking. Them doing nothing or little to nothing is not acceptable. The nations who send people through Mexico need to be held accountable to our borders. And Canada, this is something that actually I spoke to several people about this last week. Canada, they are not exempt. They're just not. They're not exempt from the border issue. And we see more and more people from overseas coming up through Canada into the States. And this has to be stopped. It really has to be stopped. And it's not just for, the protectionists who say they don't want anybody to come here anymore, that white supremacist kind of ideology or kind of thinking. No, that's not it at all. Okay? It's not it at all. it has to do with the idea that there are so many people who have come here to the New World, whose families risked everything, who came with nothing and built everything, who've come here for a life and built upon it. These people, these lives, these families need to be respected, and to come here illegally is just not acceptable. And so when we think about borders and we think about no border, no country, I have to stand with Jenny Beth Martin 100%, because really, if you have no borders, you have no country. You can't protect the people. And I'm not saying big government is there to protect you. I'm saying that without borders, you create instability. And what we need right now, the entire world needs right now, is stability. The understanding that the leaders are there to work for the people, that the people want certain things, and that the leaders will deliver for those things. And one of those things is respecting borders and groups of people. And so with that, I stand with the people who are fighting the good fight for Brexit and for protecting their sovereignty as a nation and their personal wealth and freedoms, and the right to stand up for what they believe in. Now, even if you don't agree and you live over there and you don't agree with Brexit, well, you have to respect your countrymen. This is what they want. Don't have to like it, but at least they're standing up for what they believe in. Because what is a country without people to stand up for what's right, or what they believe in is right? That too provides stability. Yes? So as we move forward and we see more and more is talked about in the border and health and healthcare reform here in the United States, I think it's important to keep things in balance. It's very expensive to provide healthcare due to certain illnesses that are let in because of weak borders. Very expensive. And with rising healthcare costs, rising insurance costs, and everything else for the citizenry here because of the failed Obamacare the last 8 years, we can't afford it. We have to provide stability. We have to. It's no longer an issue. You can't lead from behind, lead silently, saying, whatever will be, and be cleaning up messes. No, we need to push forward. We need to push forth, and we need to call on those that can make change, make restoration for the Republic to do so. Yes? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you have the rest of your Sunday to yourself. God bless you. God bless you all. God bless America.